SuperTalk Mississippi Media Production.
If you're feeling anxious about your investments with all the economic volatility and chaos in Washington, tune in to SuperTalk Jackson on Wednesdays from 9 to 10 a.m. and Sundays from 8:30 to 9:30 a.m. for Element Wealth Radio with Jeremy Nelson. Learn more at myelementwealth.com.
I'm Steve Azar, and I'm on the other side of the microphone, meaning I'm asking the questions this time, and oh, have mercy for the airwaves. I spent 20 years in Music City, wrote and made some hits, traveled the world, and then moved my family back to the birthplace of American music and where the magnolia trees prosper. And now every time I put my feet on Mississippi soil, when I'm off the road, well, I'm at peace. On this show, it's all about hearing the stories straight from the mouths of the friends I've made along the way, their journey to success. Heck, there might be someone on, I don't even know, but you know how us Mississippi types are. We tend to take well to new company. In a Mississippi Minute, all 60 of them. I'm Steve Azar. It's just like that muddy river, moving slow. Ain't no worries, it's how life goes, baby. In a Mississippi Minute. That's right.
Hey folks, time for another In a Mississippi Minute. I'm fired up about my guest today because he fires me up. I get his newsletters, the 10 things that will inspire me for the week. And, I've been living by it, I can tell you. He deserves the acknowledgement because he's done a whole lot in his life, and he's just getting started. Before I get started, Superior Catfish, homegrown and produced right here in Mississippi. Head on over to superiorcatfish.com and visit Mississippi.org. We are the birthplace of America's music. Should I say more? Come on. All right. Love this man. Obviously dig having him on the show. He's been on about 175 times. He's survived many weather tests in his career as a football star and a mountain climber, climbing all 7 summits. There you go. From a standout and prolific college football career back at the University of Washington, where he has been enshrined in their Hall of Fame, to the NFL career, catching the rock all over the field from some of the best quarterbacks there ever was, from New Orleans Saints to Oakland Raiders. There you go. That set the stage later in life for him taking on these 7 summits. We've had many conversations about the trials and tribulations of Everest. Him seeing things that he never thought he'd see, or maybe he was semi-prepared for, but when he lived it and was going through it, just hearing the journey and how, I mean, it sounded like to me he was on pins and needles of not making it. And just an amazing deal. Searching for the Summit, which chronicled that journey, that courageous journey, won by the NFL Films, by the way, 360. NFL Films 360 would go on to win an Emmy. He's about to become a best-selling author, and I want to talk to him about that book. Everything he touches is turned into gold, or maybe platinum would be a better word. Let's get to it right now with my dear pal, Mark Pattison.
How we doing?
Well, I'm waiting for you to come to the Delta.
Well, I'll be there. You know, listen to this. This is in the order of priority, so I just want you to see where you sit in the pecking order, okay?
I'm loving this.
This weekend, extending into next, is the Raider. They've got this health clinic symposium of which they're bringing in hundreds of former players like me. They've got a really strong alumni. I opted out of that in order to be once again with you to help others down in the great state of Mississippi.
Well, I'm glad you have your priorities straight. That's all I've got to say. Right?
Yep.
That's amazing. You listen, we can't do this now without you. You know that. You're part of. No, we won't. We won't.
Well, this is what I've learned, right? This is what I learned is that even though and this is for all your listeners, for anybody coming from outside of the great state of Mississippi, which, I love the Delta Soul, all that stuff, but it's challenging to get there, especially from my little town in Sun Valley, Idaho. And yet when you take yourself out of it and replace that with what you're there to do, which is raise money for all these wonderful causes that you stand for, that you need people like us to come and support. So that brings in all the other wonderful people of, again, your great state of Mississippi and your amazing catfish, to pull this thing off, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that's just the reality. And so it's worth a little bit of uncomfort to get there and make that happen for the bigger picture and the bigger prize, which is helping others.
Well, we really appreciate that. And we're talking about our foundation's Delta Soul Celebrity Golf and Charity event. Mark has been a staple for a lot of years. Got to know you, Mark, back in the days with my brother-in-law, way back in the day when you were playing for the Saints. You guys went to Washington together. Your career at Washington, it was fantastic. You look at their program right now, just as a former player and one that cares about your alma mater. Where do you guys sit right now as far as where you think you need to be?
Yeah, that's a great question. And really, this is generic. I'm an exec for Sports Illustrated, and so I have my hand on all these teams throughout the country.
Right.
And so, and not just college football, but the NFL and Major League Baseball and the NBA and some others. But the kind of the net answer to you is this: is that I don't know, and whether or not I was an Ole Miss fan or Mississippi State or LSU or any of these. You just don't know because the nature of the game has changed so much with this NIL thing. So it's literally like trading out players. Washington, speaking of my beloved Huskies, back in the day for all of us, you'd have 4 or 5 years, you develop with certain players, you get to know them from certain schools. And now there's so much horse trading going on the block. And it's just a matter of who's going to pay the most. So how much can you raise in your NIL piggy bank and then dish that out to some of the top players. And it's a money game. And certainly I wish in one hand, I think it was super valuable for me that I wasn't just blowing with the wind and going with where the money is, because I really had to go to see where I am today had so much to do with the awful times that I had to go through to develop myself. And back in the day when you're 18, 19, 20, years old, there were 3 years of hell I had to pay to get to where I ultimately got to the top of that mountain. But in today, when you're like literally, you're coming and going and all this stuff, it's just like you don't know what you got. I know Jed Fish, who's the new head coach of the Washington, this will be his second year. When he came in as a new coach last year, he only had, and this is after Washington making the finals the year before, only had one returning player that was a starter from that
national championship run team, right? They made the finals.
Yeah. So I have no clue. I don't know who the quarterback is. I don't know who the receivers. They're all coming from different spots, and who knows who'll be there next year.
I can tell you the running back for that team was Dylan Johnson from St. Joe, right here down the street. That's all I got to say.
Well, no, he's fantastic, and his big mess. And I said this at the time, is that he had one more year of eligibility, and I knew that kind of his only weak point, as great as he was and is, was his injury situation.
He was hurt.
He was hurt off and on, but he was super resilient, and he played through it. He was a tough, gritty guy, right?
Yeah.
And so then he opts out to go to the NFL, and then he doesn't make the NFL team. Right?
Well, he was on the practice team and he got hurt. He was on Carolina's practice team all year, and now we're hearing rumblings.
Yeah,
he's healthy now, and that there's we're hearing rumblings. We're hoping we're hearing Raiders possibly. I just want you to know that, or Steelers because they got rid of Raji. And then or Baltimore, which I think would be great fits for him because he's kind of that tough kid. So we'll see. We're praying for him. He's working hard and he's in good shape now. His foot's healed finally. His foot was hurt for a year and a half. He never gave it a chance.
And maybe it wouldn't have mattered. Who knows? I don't know the kid, but my point is that rather than go in and now you're the low guy on the totem pole, like I used to be way back when, he would be the king ding of the team, and he would have played and all these things. And so it's just yet another year of development. And maybe he improves his stock even more so for the next year's draft, which would have been this last year. So, this is all a woulda, coulda, shoulda on how this play. So who knows?
Well, we'll see. All right. Well, so let's, we got about a minute and a half before this. Yeah. How is your book going right now?
My book. Right there, baby.
Wait a minute. Why come I don't have a copy of that right now? I'm a little hurt right now. That's beautiful.
Because what does that say, Rob?
It's official. It says, I'm a friend of Steve Azar. Is that what it says?
That's right. That's what it says.
What does it say? Show me real quick.
No, it says not for resale. So here's where it's at. So
not for resale.
No, this is for right now. I think this is the main point for anybody who's listening. If you ever write a book, it's one of the hardest things that you ever do. A long time ago, Steve, as you know, that I set a very high standard for myself in terms of what I feel like I have to deliver as a dad, what I have to deliver as a person, as a friend, and these different things that I put myself, in a position to go do, between sports of playing, in the NFL and college, and as things have evolved with the film and climbing the different mountains around the world, in addition to the mountains that you talked about, the Matterhorn, the Eiger, Mount Blanc,
Gosh, I'm getting nauseous.
Yeah.
Nauseous
So,
thinking about it.
so I've got this thing that L. Davis, who is the former owner a long time ago of the LA Raiders, now his son, Mark Davis, is the owner. But this whole thing about commitment to excellence. Okay. And again, it's just like, what are you in these things for? Just to play average? Anybody can be average. Nick Saban used to say you have 5 things that you can show up for, right? Bad.
All right, wait a minute. Wait. We got to go. Just hold the 5 things. Let's take a quick break so we won't get it cut off. It's important. Superior catfish, always important. There's catfish. There's superior catfish. Go to superiorcatfish.com and visit Mississippi.org. It sounds like a song because we are the birthplace of America's music. I'm Steve Azar with Mark Patterson.
Listen and watch all your favorite SuperTalk Mississippi shows live and on demand. Listen to tons of music. Plus, get the latest breaking news from across the state with the SuperTalk Mississippi app. The SuperTalk Mississippi app. Download the SuperTalk app on your iPhone or Android device now for free. Just search SuperTalk Mississippi in your app store on your mobile device to get everything Mississippi all in one place. The SuperTalk Mississippi app. Get it now.
Helium Corporation is
Baby, saw you burning on the corner of Grace.
5 things Nick Saban has taught Mark Patterson. Mark Patterson has taught me 105 things, but we're going to get to that in a second. Superior Catfish allows me to have this conversation with Mark. Appreciate them so much. Head on over to superiorcatfish.com. Go to store.superiorcatfish.com, and it will come to you, and you'll be frying it up in no time. Visit Mississippi.org, plan your road trip. Come on, man. Are you kidding me? I haven't taken Mark to Dancing Rabbit at Pearl River Resort yet. It's going to happen. A beautiful stretch of Mississippi up there in the hills it's just beautiful outside of Philadelphia. All right, or inside of Philadelphia. Choctaw, Mississippi. Yeah, baby. All right, Mark, 5 things. Nick Saban, what are they?
Well, yeah. Well, again, now that you reset me, I'm going to reset something else. So for everybody, of course, down in the South, the great state of Mississippi knows who Nick Saban was, right? He tore it up for years at Alabama as the head coach. What many people don't know is that Nick Saban was one of my head coaches way back in the day.
I did not know that.
At Kent State. And so all these things that Nick Saban, I've heard Nick Saban say this, all these things that Nick Saban has talked about over the years and the way he runs practices and his commitment to, excellence, all this kind of stuff has come from my head coach, Don James, this whole pyramid of success, which we've talked about in the past. And so with Nick, which my coach, we used to say, when you show up for anything, you've got basically 5 choices. Do you want to be bad? Do you want to be good? Or do you want to be bad? Do you want to be average? Do you want to be good? Do you want to be great? Or do you want to be phenomenal? Right? And if you pick the last one, I mean, that's it. And just by proportion of effort, right? Starting with the worst one, do you want to be bad? There's no effort. You don't get out of bed. You don't chase things. You just let things be. You're sloppy. Everything that you do does not meet any kind of standard. Mm-hmm. And if you want to be the national champion at Alabama or be in the, number 1 and all this other stuff when we were back in the day at Washington and writing this book and so on and so forth, you have to set a high bar for yourself. And if you don't hit that bar, then you shouldn't be putting something out in the marketplace until you are ready. So as it relates to this book, Finding Your Summit, I've been working on for the last year. We wrote it. I feel like it's good. I feel like it's 90% there, but it's not at that exceptional level, which is when you start talking about the film that you mentioned, Searching for the Summit, which I won a Best Picture for an Emmy for.
That's so cool.
I mean, that's where it takes to another level. And so much, and this gets more into your world, that I'm out finding another editor to help take this thing to a whole different place. And as you know, from writing music and scores and things like that, there's one thing about like what the core thing is you're working about, but so much of it, the magic comes in the editing process of how you put and structure those things together, which creates something either phenomenal or average or great or anything else.
Okay, so I get what you're doing. You're trying to make this thing absolutely phenomenal, past
Yeah.
great. I get it. How will you know? Being your first book, right? And are you just using the rules of Mark Pattison and the rules of life that got you there? Is there a sense of something that's bothering you still? Like for me with a song, I can tell just by you can't cop out. It's either right or it's wrong. And to me, people go, "Oh, you could change that with this." No, I think that every line was born, every word was born to be in that song if you pay attention to it, and nothing can replace it. I believe that. So where in your head are you deciding that you're not ready?
Well, let's go back to your example because I think it's a really good example. This goes back probably 2 months, maybe the last time I was on your show, and you sent me over some raw, just MP3 or four of some raw takes of this new hit that you just put out, right?
Killing it, killing me. I hope it'll be a hit, but
Yeah,
it's doing
yeah.
really good on YouTube right now. It's good.
No, killing it, kill me. That's what it was.
Yeah.
And I gave you, and there were two songs that you sent, right? And I sent over, and one I was more favorable than the other, and I gave you immediate feedback because you have bandmates, because you have your wife, because you have your kids, because you have these other people down there that it's not the first time you've like when you play it for your inner circle, they've heard this song and they're going to give you immediate feedback. Like it's amazing, it's great, it's this or that, right? And so I had sent this manuscript out to a couple buddies. One is the CEO of Amazon Europe, and so I respect them. He went to Harvard, and I sent it out to some other people, and it was just my gut feel. Like it's the pieces are all right there, the stories are all right there, but it can be written a little bit better, and it can be edited and put, and there can be some things that we can add to it, which will give it that super spice. I'm not thinking about this just in terms of this book. I think there's a series, but I also think, and I'm saying this just because I've already done this in terms of the film. I think there's like a Hallmark type movie or something that could be, on the tail end of this thing. So again, unless you think big, I'm going to the top of the world type thing. Like for me, like what's the point? And so I'm trying to create that experience. I don't think we're that far off. I just need another editor professional that can take me there.
I love that. You went through too much hell for this to be a Hallmark movie. I love Hallmark. By the way, at Christmas, I'll turn it on. So I'm 8 weeks in. I'm one of those guys. I can't help it. I just like it on in the house. I don't know. You know the story. It doesn't matter. And anyway, but with that, what I'm trying to figure out is I love that. And I love you talking about a series. So your 10 steps to building a foundation for big goals, your 10 steps, right? You got these constant 10 steps that are coming. Is that part of your book?
Well, it is. And, there's another part of the book. And this is, you'll say to me, like, are you crazy? But this is just like when you come up and it's kind of like the film where, you kind of have to, I'm saying metaphorically now, pull your pants down in front of national TV.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Right. And expose yourself in a way that, metaphorically speaking, that you're talking about some, tough moments that I had to go through and things like that. And in this book, when you start having these shining moments in my life of being able to play major college football and playing in the NFL and being a top exec for Sports Illustrated and taking the company to #1 and winning an Emmy, and things like that, climbing the seven summits, at some point in time, you got to stand back and go, well, this can't just be all luck. Luck is, getting hit by lightning. Luck is, that's unlucky, but being hit by lightning or winning the lotto or something like that, right? And so it's a through line. And one of the things for me, which has just kind of always been there, and this goes back to my childhood, was not being good enough, right? Being told the message, you're not quite. And there's examples all throughout my career of you're not good enough, you're not good enough, you're not good enough. And so that has made me like go way extreme on the other side. Like, I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm going to prove you wrong. And then that's part of the driver, which gets me up every single flipping morning.
I love hearing that. The other day I was talking to somebody, and I can't remember if it was on the show or it was just not on the show. I think it was not on the show. And I was talking about the people that tried to break me down. Were they as much of a driving force as the ones that built me up? because and I made the joke that I'll only pray for those people once a week because I'm not giving them any more than that. But the ones that weren't good to you along the way, it happened in different. Like I can take one out of every decade of my life at the age of 10 to 20, 20 to 30, 30 to 40. That person appeared in a different body, in a different face, but was the same person trying to do the same thing, and that was keep me from my goals and my dreams and what I was working for. And they drove me as much as the people that gave me hope. I mean, it was something so about they were so opposite of how they were treating you. And obviously the ones that gave you hope was the most beautiful thing, but the ones that ticked you off that you wanted to show, no, you're not right. You're not right. Were also a driving force in my career. I can tell you, maybe, I don't know if that was a good thing or bad, but I can tell you it drove me. Let's take a quick break. Mark Patterson, I'm going to do a little shameless promotion. My song, Killing It, Killing Me, is out. And if you've been spending all of your life chasing the almighty dollar, forgetting about what really matters in your world, stepping on everything that matters, or somebody, this song's for you. Check it out. It's out there everywhere. My pal over there, all my pals at Superior Catfish in Macon, Mississippi are producing the catfish. Head on over to superiorcatfish.com and visit Mississippi.org. A road trip is in the near future for Mark Patterson. He'll be on Mississippi Delta soil, helping us raise money for a lot of great causes down here in our foundation. We love him. We'll be right back with Mark Patterson.
$20,000 available for first-time home buyers. Hey folks, Steve Azar here. Helping is the heart of our friends at Guarantee Bank. They offer programs like the Home Buyer Equity Leverage Partnership Grant that can assist qualified first-time home buyers with up to $20,000 towards down payment and provide home ownership counseling to empower you on your journey. These funds are first come, first served. Learn more about this program and to apply now, go to gbtonline.com. Guarantee Bank, member FDIC.
Listen and watch all your favorite SuperTalk Mississippi shows live and on demand. Listen to tons of music. Plus, get the latest breaking news from across the state with the SuperTalk Mississippi app. The SuperTalk Mississippi app. Download the SuperTalk app on your iPhone or Android device now for free. Just search SuperTalk Mississippi in your app store on your mobile device to get everything Mississippi all in one place. The SuperTalk Mississippi app. Get it now. I feel more in a Mississippi Minute with Steve Azar, right here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Steve Azar here, rocking a Mississippi Minute with my dear pal Mark Patterson. I'm a fan of the man, everything he stands for. He's just constantly living life and taking it to the extreme of how great he can become, how phenomenal he can be every day in every aspect of his life. Got just an incredible core that is special. I can tell you his soul runs deep, and he's got a heart of gold. Superior Catfish, those little beautiful catfish that hang out in the deep waters over there in Macon, Mississippi. Man, I've been to the place. It's awesome how much they care and love what they do. Go to superiorcatfish.com and visit Mississippi.org. Been with me since the start. Man, they're good folks over there, and they're celebrating bringing people in from all over the world. And once they come to our Mississippi, they get our hospitality, our love for this wonderful place we call Mississippi. All right, Mark, you have been to Ireland recently. It's your second trip. What's your reason and love for Ireland here? What's going on?
Let me go back to one last thing that you said on the last take, right? And by the way, I have been there from the start, and seen and those positive voices that come through, right? For you and see you rise, and just again, just closing on what we talked about last is those people that you're talking about are there to take your power away, right? They're energy suckers.
Yeah.
And even though you recognize that, you want to be elliptic. And so for me, that's like if you want to do great things in life, one of the first things you got to do is get your mind right, but you also got to surround yourself with positive voices
Sure.
and have those energy suckers. There's people trying to suck that power away from you.
Yeah.
And who knows whatever the heck they're going through, but it doesn't matter. It just all I know is keeping your eye on the ball, one, and two, surrounding yourself with positive voices.
Sure. And I do that. And the people that do feel are positive around you and the ones that build you up and the ones you can tell are going to fight with you all the way through it are the ones that are most important. I just can't help to think of the ones that there is a driving force. There has been in me and the people that were the opposite of that because I just felt like they were wrong, And
You wouldn't have the career like I think luck comes when you have a one-hit wonder and you're in and you're out,
Yeah.
and that's it.
Yeah.
And you have been able to foster this thing since back in the day when I was playing with the Saints, right?
Yeah.
Bobby Aber was zipping me the ball all over the field.
Beautiful. Used to love watching that.
Oh yeah. He's a personality. I've been on a show down in New Orleans, right?
Man, that was awesome. Awesome
Yeah,
times.
but anyways, I'm just trying to say that you were able to feed and surround yourself with positive people and positive forces to see where you are today, which has been really cool. So
Well, I appreciate that. Well, I do. It's been awesome. I mean, there's been some rocky roads, but I wouldn't share. I was telling Gwen, I just wouldn't change any of it. I mean, you look back and I like where we are and I'm grateful for where we are and getting to have a sense of purpose now writing about my home state, which I've always done, but being able to do it here and have the state song and being in the room with kids from schools around the state singing it. And there's just been such a reward. And I'm working with everybody that I want to work with right now. I'm really enjoying it. And you don't get that opportunity a lot. Sometimes you're forced to work with people that maybe you don't enjoy. And when my record days at Mercury, I had that one guy that was in charge and I didn't love him. I didn't respect him and he didn't love me and it was mutual, so, anyway, but the bottom line is I get that. All right. Ireland. Let's go to Ireland.
Hey.
Oh, you got the accent and everything now.
Oh yeah. The wee lassie, the wee laddie. Hey, listen, Ireland, for anybody who likes to golf, you go to the birthplace. And actually, the birthplace is in Scotland, which I've golfed there, 15, 20 years ago as well. So this is my second time to Ireland. And, it's just, if you go back in the history of golf and understand these guys, this is in Scotland, this is St. Andrews, and, how 18 holes came around. I mean, it was just some guys like, let's mow down the pasture and, like, let's dig up some holes and put this thing in, and I mean, it's really amazing. And there's just such a love of golf amongst, the people back there. It's different kind. It's links style. And so what is links? It is super hard. It's almost like turf. It's rock hard. The ball goes forever once you have the wind behind you. But because Ireland, for people who don't know, it's a little bit like Mississippi in that it's an island, and well, Mississippi is not, but you're on the water and it's relatively flat. So it's not like where I live or my home state of Washington, where you have these gigantic mountains. It's relatively flat, and so it's because it's positioned farther north, right, kind of northwest of England, and up you're starting to get up towards Sweden and Finland and Norway. During the summertime, like during the May, it's light out most of the day. And then during the wintertime, it gets dark most of the day. You've got a really strong, stiff wind coming off the ocean at all times. I mean, it's the first time I've ever stood on a par three, 139 yards out. I'm using my driver and I didn't make the green.
Come on. Oh, come on. What was it? 50, 45 miles an hour, 50 miles an hour?
The caddy, we had caddies on every place that we played, and the caddy leans over to me and goes, you were going into a 60 mile per hour wind. So when you hit the ball, you just watch it go up in the air. And,
Why didn't you just blade a wedge so you could say you hit a wedge?
Well, you could, but you can do whatever you want. But, the wind is that strong, is what I'm trying to say.
Crazy.
It's when you go to the great country of Ireland and Scotland and England, I guess for that matter, it is like, my great state of Washington, growing up in Seattle. It's like that on steroids from the standpoint of it's also flipping wet and gray. And not only did we catch a lot of really strong winds right along the ocean, But we were wet, like literally we jumped into the Mississippi and came out. We were that soaking wet. And as you know from playing golf, there's nothing worse than trying to course manage with wet clubs and grips. And
No, no, I don't like it. I don't
I
like
hate
it.
it. Yeah,
No. I think I liked it in a period of I didn't care when I was really locked and loaded, and it's sort of you sort of took it as just, something you wanted to get through and prove to yourself, but no way now. There's just no way. No
Yeah.
way.
Well, I got to tell you just a connecting story really quickly.
Yeah.
Last year, so I come down to the Delta Soul, your amazing charity event that you've had. I think this is my fifth year in a row, I think.
Yeah.
And so last year you'd invited down Mark Ripien. Now Mark is a guy that went to Washington State, so he was a rival when I was playing back in the day. And then we just knew each other from, playing in the NFL and things like that over the years. And so we've more known each other from afar, but Facebook friends and all that kind of stuff. Anyways, we hung out quite a bit at the Delta Soul last year together, and we're just talking golf and shop and everything else. And he was just like, hey, if you're ever going to Ireland, this is the guy that. So he ends up sending me this link to this guy James who runs these trips over in Ireland. So I sent that on to my buddy and said, hey, if you want to set this up, I just got this from Rip. And so la 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 la. It turns out we used this guy James. He set up everything. Everything was totally turnkey. And Rip was blowing my phone up every single day. Like, how's it going?
Yeah.
What course are you playing? How are you playing it? All that stuff.
Wow. Rip can play. That man can move the ball.
He's he's a big body, and if somebody can learn how to like harness that power, which he can, and he's got great hand-eye coordination, right?
Yeah. A good basketball player too. Were you a big hooper as well?
The short answer to that is yes and no. I did, and for stupid reasons. You look back now and you're bullheaded and things, and I remember when I was a sophomore, I made the JV team, and anyways, I didn't play a lick. I was that guy. At the end of the bench. Yeah, I was the guy at the end of the bench that the coach would only put in with 13 seconds to go. And like the next year in football, I'm not only all league, I'm player of the year in the whole flipping state, and the same thing in my senior year. And then the coaches are begging me to play, and just because out of my stupid ego, I was like no. And I was a good basketball player, and we played with some buddies, played in a rec league, and we won the whole rec league, and all the starters that were on the high school team we beat.
I love it. Well, coach should have had you at the end of the bench. Should have had you sitting right next to him.
Well, it's recognizing talent, right?
Yeah.
Pissed me off.
What a mistake. Yeah, you should.
No, but the only person at the end of the day that hurt was me, right? Like the
exactly
teams want to play, and it was stupid. And to anybody listening, like, don't do things that at the end of the day you think you're making a point, and the only person you're really hurting is yourself.
I get it. We'll take a quick break real quick. Mark Pattison, my man, Emmy winner, all 7 summits he's climbed, Hall of Famer, Superior Catfish. He's got Hall of Fame catfish for sure. Head on over to superiorcatfish.com and visit Mississippi.org. Celebrate your state. I'm Steve Azar. We'll be right back.
Everybody needs a little sunshine. Yeah, you're my sun and shine. 'Cause like the dawn, you push it all the way.
Up to $20,000 available for first-time home buyers. Hey folks, Steve Azar here. Helping is the heart of our friends at Guarantee Bank. They offer programs like the Home Buyer Equity Leverage Partnership Grant that can assist qualified first-time home buyers with up to $20,000 towards down payment and provide home ownership counseling to empower you on your journey. These funds are first come, first served. Learn more about this program and to apply now, go to gbtonline.com. Guarantee Bank, member FDIC.
Oh, yeah, you're hot rod cocky.
and you stand there like a man and say,
Just a short segment left with my pal Mark Pattison, Emmy winner, has a book on the way. When it finally comes out, it'll be titled Finding Your Summit, unless they edit that and change that. But I think that's going to be the title that's not only working title, but one that's going to stick. His 30, what do you call it? NFL, what was it? 360 Films, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, wins an Emmy for the coolest dang show. So you got to check out Searching for the Summit. Courageous journey. Mark on Mount Everest. Come on, are you kidding me? Climbs all 7 summits. Washington Husky Hall of Famer. Hall of Fame catfish is Superior Catfish. Head on over to there. Go to superiorcatfish.com and visit Mississippi.org. I thank you guys so much for letting me have this show into my 8th year. Wow. Mark has been my guest a long time. When you could stop at get a shrimp po' boy, you weren't doing shrimp po' boys every day. You weren't doing beignets every day. I mean, right now, I want powdered sugar all over me. I just want you to know.
I know. I love the beignets, and we bring in from out of town and just blow sugar all over them. But I was a regular. I got to tell you, your brother-in-law and my good buddy Brian Carey, we were regulars getting the 12-piece nug at Popeyes. I got to tell you, that was some barbecue sauce.
Oh yeah, right? I've got that in the Cajun Sparkle sitting in my cupboard right now. I like hoard it. I collect it.
Yeah. Well, I think the whole key with all this stuff is like, I'm constantly regulating things in my mind. Right. Like I had 3 brownies last night and I felt super guilty. So I ran up the mountain this morning at 5 o'clock.
I got your text.
Yeah. And, so it's just like, if I tip one way, I have to tip the other. And that's what I did down in New Orleans. And
so you were good. You were good. You were really, looking back, you were pretty dang diligent. You watched it, right?
Yeah. And a lot of that too is just because, I always knew, it just, people arrive at different places, and it gets back to that first theme we were talking about, is never good enough. And I was just always on the edge in the NFL. There's 55 guys that make the team, and I was like 54 or 55, right? I was never a lock. And so I always wanted to, like, how can Mark get an edge? And so I broke it down in every possible way. I quit eating red meat for, I don't know, 5-6 years, something like that, just really low, and I really never drank, hard alcohol. I would just like light beers if I did, just only a couple. And so, I just really try to have, like, how can I get my edge on anybody? And, it's, I would say, a super duper, 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 duper watered down version of Tom Brady, how he's been so diligent. And I'm only relating that because everybody, has followed, many people have followed his career and what he does now. I never made 100 million plus. So he's got, personal chefs and massage people, and I wish I would have been able to do that more, but that wasn't the time. I was just more self-management of my.
So that's an interesting point that you're making right now. So you had to be the one without all of that and that opportunity just to afford it, just to be able to afford all that stuff. Yeah. You had to go the really long way. You had to go more through gravel roads, more through this, and he look. I mean, he was healthy. I mean, he stayed healthy. That's hard to do, and you look at Peyton and Eli. I think about Archie, and he got beat up so much that he taught his boys. And I think Tom is a good example. They got rid of the ball. They figured out how to get rid of them. They're running all over the place. It's going to be interesting to see Arch, because Arch is the athlete that Cooper, which he comes from, that Cooper was. Cooper was a wide receiver, and Arch reminds me more of Archie, and he likes to move around. Well, he's starting this year at Texas, and you're gonna. He seems to be pretty dang amazing, and the Mannings, they know what they're doing. Everybody was screaming they should have been playing last year and all that. They are patient, smart. They're the smartest football family in the world. They know what they're doing, and they know what they're doing with Arch. So it's going to be fun to watch him and watch another Manning. And there's more Mannings coming. Peyton's kid's coming. He's playing quarterback now. Awesome. Yeah, he's the next one. So, they'll just keep coming, and it's good for football. Those guys they're pretty dang funny. Like they got these quirky sense of humor, and Archie has been a jewel to Mississippi. He's never left it. His heart's always been in Mississippi.
Well, Archie used to call our games. I got to know Arch, and Morton Anderson, the great kicker, that I think we used to come up to your gigs up at LSU, but
awesome.
When Morton was inducted in the Superdome Hall of Fame, not the actual Hall of Fame, the football NFL all I did, but there was only like three people that have been inducted, like in the history of Arch was one of them. But he had this private ceremony. It was amazing. Like, Arch was there to support Morton, and Bobby Abear was up there. There's just all these old players that I used to play with, and
Wow.
it was a really good time.
It's just so cool. Well, Archie is, I mean, he's an icon, and I love the fact that he's been such a great example for the following generations, not only his family, but for all of us. So kudos to him. I think we've had a run of a Mississippi Minute. You and I, we could have a Mississippi decade. We could just keep going and going and going. But I'll see you next week, and travel safe, and I appreciate you so much, buddy.
Always.
Mark Pattison, Emmy winner, got the great podcast. Just check everything out. Just go search out markpattison.com. Is it Mark or NFL? Mark Pattison, NFL.com. Join his newsletter. You're going to get these 10 great goals that you're going to live by during your week, and it's going to set you free and make you a better person. Superior Catfish, that makes me better when I get to partake. Check my pals out over there in Macon, Mississippi. Go to superiorcatfish.com and visit Mississippi.org. My pals over there celebrating Mississippi like no other. I'm Steve Azar.
I'm Steve Azar. In a Mississippi Minute, all 60 of them, where you can take your sweet time.
A SuperTalk Mississippi Media production.